If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. In addition to that, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. Why not check it out today? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good day. Happy Monday. So today, as I was doing my regular work, I didn't realize I was listening to a message on leadership. And, one of my favorite mentors is no other than Dr. Miles Monroe. I've mentioned him before. And every time I listen to him speak, I always think I'm going to get something else out of the message, but it's always something else that I either, have deep thought on, or something that totally gives me a better understanding or outcome on development. So I titled this message, "Can You Have Vision with No Sight?" I know that sounds kind of like, what? How can you have a vision and not see? And the way that I received it today was vision requires, of course, a plan or a big picture, I should say, but it doesn't necessarily require sight. Sight can sometimes be the biggest distraction of our vision, because we'll be constantly looking at the now versus the big picture, which is why, most real leaders are very uncomfortable with present, because they're so focused on the future. And I know that sounds like a lot, or it could sound like an excuse to some, yet it's not. It's really identifying how to be very effective when you are writing the vision and asking God to make it plain, because if you're writing a vision with sight, then you really don't have a vision at all. You're just dealing with, or I should say coping with, the present. For example, sight is something you can see. It's something within your natural ability of your eyeballs that you can see, or something that is within your mind that keeps you basically in a place of, where you are, like you're comfortable. It's within your reach. But a vision requires you to allow your natural imagination or your true self to actually be passionate enough about it to see it come to see it come to pass. If you just base your future on sight and don't separate sight and vision, but you make it one, then you're not going to get very far, because you're basically depending on self to do it, which therefore it doesn't require a plan or assistance. And that's with personal life and business. So I am just pretty much saying that sight requires the eyes to see, vision requires faith, which grows, and develops through the heart. That's what separates vision and sight as well, because sight is literally the function of your eye, but vision is the function of your heart. Like, and honestly, these few things is like a nugget of how I was able to get, my businesses started, because this right here has just launched a new business. Like, after hearing that, it just gave me an amazing business plan. Like, because once you identify the why in anything that you do, this right here is like super, like something that can change your life. But it's like, honestly, once you identify the vision, as in your why for wanting to get something done, or your why for wanting to change your life, that's going to be the very thing that you use, or that God basically will allow you to use to push you forward. Like, because if you make your why also, this also helps, because vision is for a leader, and a leader also has to understand that if you have a vision that you want God to bless, then you have to understand that this vision is not necessarily for you. You are going to have to sacrifice, but it's going to be a different type of sacrifice. Why? Because you're going to be in purpose. And we've talked about that, but I just say all that to say, really concentrate on your why, and that's going to push your vision to push you to do that very thing that you're supposed to be doing. Because who wants to sit back and say, oh man, I didn't know how to get started. I really didn't have everything I needed, so I did nothing. That really takes you to the parable of the talents, where in the word, one talent was given to one and other talents were given to others, but the one that had the one did nothing because they didn't know how to get started. They were too, I would say, stuck on the site, which was the thing that was like, oh, well, this ain't much, so because it's not much, I should hold it, but because it's not much, I should also not invest it because I don't know if I'm going to get it. So they were looking at the site. They were looking at what everybody else had around them. Everybody else had more. So that really just brings in, can you have vision with no sight? And absolutely, yes, you can have vision with no sight. But understand that sight is basically how can I word it? I had wrote it down. Let me see. Sight. Let me find it. I'm sorry. Sight should be the servant of vision. That's basically your push, but your ultimate way of change, or way that you're going to actually keep doing what you're called to do, is by your why, your big picture. Never the today and the tomorrow. It's the big picture. And I hope that helped somebody today. I just wanted to share it because I felt like, oh my goodness, if we can all get our whys in our heart, and it not be for selfish gain, but it be for our purpose, which in essence is for the, edification of the body of Christ, like, we could so win. But we have to write the vision. Some of us won't even do that. We're too afraid because it sounds wild. It sounds like, oh, I'm being greedy. But some of us may be being greedy. I've had my share of writing out different things, and it was selfish. And I'm like, okay, God, you're not in that at all. But once you do write that thing that God is in, you have to start trusting. That's where faith without works is pretty much dead, because if you're not trusting, then you are doing nothing but worrying. So I'm about to continue, and I don't need to, because this was just to get everyone to focus on the vision, focus on your why, focus on, now that I know my purpose, what's going to keep me pushing forward. Because yeah, you've identified your purpose, but to know your purpose and to still do nothing in it is painful, because you're constantly irritated because you know there's more. So again, to sum up things, this is just to encourage you to understand that it's okay. If you were, walking by sight and not, walking in your vision, you can start today. Pray about it and let's get it. All right. I hope you have a good day on purpose, or hope you had a good day on purpose, depending on when you listen to this. All right. Good day.